Hi guys, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the morning after. I am your host Charlene Joint, and of course today we are recapping episode 7 of season 23 of The Bachelor, Colton's season. And as you know by now, we start off every episode with a moment that delivered, and of course this is brought to you by Skip the Dishes, and you Canadians definitely know Skip the Dishes. They deliver food to your house so you can sit in your pajamas and eat wonderful food. It's a lovely, lovely invention. So this week's moment that delivered, I feel like this is not surprising to anyone, is when Heather left. It's not only when she left, but how she chose to leave. It was the classiest departure I can remember in a while. There were no tears. It was simple and just pure. What I liked about this is she made it easy on him. It felt like she knew he wasn't taking her. He knew he wasn't taking her to hometowns, of course, and she didn't really care to have him take her. Like, it just sort of felt like they were on the same page about it. It just felt very mature. And what I love about this is it just doesn't fall in the category of him sending her home or her like leaving dramatically. You know, it felt just simple and like two adults. It just felt like a very real moment. And especially in an episode that felt very contrived and like there was a lot of juvenile behavior and a lot of just gossip. It was just a blissfully sweet and simple moment. So yay, Heather. That was this week's moment that delivered. So, the group finds themselves in Denver. Yes. And we start off with Tayshia's one-on-one. So this was a super cute, natural feeling date. I thought it was cute. They were eating oysters, they were buying groceries, eating ice cream, feeding ice cream to the dog, and it just felt like they work. That said, I still am not buying the chemistry here in comparison to what he has with some of the other girls. I just feel like Colton is more gung-ho physically about specifically Cassie and Hannah G. Of course, that's what we've been fed and force-fed really, because we've only seen 2 one-on-one dates where that's all they had going for them. So I gotta say, I kind of like that this is not all about their chemistry. It seems like they have things to talk about. So of course, Colton butters Tayshia up right off the bat by saying when he heard girls weren't ready, he knew that Tayshia wasn't one of them. So we know that his next sentence will be, "What have you seen or heard?" And of course, Tayshia takes this bait and goes for it. And I gotta say, this was pretty rough to see, just because I like Tayshia. And in the past, she has been that voice of reason. When other girls have been talking about things that were said, she's been the one that was like, hey, I was there for that conversation, that's not what was said. So it sort of pained me to see Tayshia kind of do exactly what Onyeka did to Nicole 2 episodes ago, which was that we found out later in the episode that Tayshia wasn't actually there for that conversation. Katie was. And so to sort of spread that information is like, I'm sure where there's smoke, there's fire. Obviously something was said, but was it misconstrued the way Nicole's words were? Very possibly. Anyway, my other beef with this is that people are too smart to do this now. Like, people are not now. 5 years ago on my season, no one was talking about becoming bachelorette. No one was talking about, you know, how their lives were going to change or the parties they were going to go to. Even if that was in the back of your mind, you're not talking about it because you're too smart to do that, because it immediately puts a target on your back and makes you a wrong reasons contestant. So I just have a hard time believing that it's as black and white as it was made to seem here. Okay, moving on to Kailyn's one-on-one. Of course, Colton only knows how to deal with gossip about girls in one way, and that is to promptly go to the gossipy and tell her exactly what was said about her. And so he does this with Kailyn and tells her exactly what Tayshia told him. And she reacts really strongly to this, I would argue too strongly. Not because I don't believe her, but more because I don't think it serves her cause to then like double down on Tayshia and call her a, quote, stupid bitch, unquote. That said, I understand that moment of blind rage. Like, I understand that she's feeling more anger than sadness in that moment, because it's like how you feel this betrayal. And this is something that it's easy to lose sight of when you're a viewer, but you're spending way more time with each other on this show than you are with him. Like, you are, in a sense, way closer. That's why the friendships are also like magnified, and then the non-friendships are so magnified. It shows that it is a betrayal. they are living in the same space together day in and day out. So to have someone go to Colton, someone who all of you are collectively less close with, let's be honest, is a huge betrayal. It doesn't surprise me at all that Kailyn comes back in the evening, and she's just way more calm and collected. She kind of had a similar thing happen with Hannah B when she heard Hannah B had talked about her. She kind of needed a moment, and I have no issue with that. I actually believe Kailyn in this. I actually feel bad for her that she's had to defend herself and her character twice in a season by episode 7. Like, that's just a lot. Of course, again, where there's smoke, there's fire thing is always in the back of my mind, but until we get any kind of specificity, or hearing things from the source, I'm not really, jumping on this anti-Cassie, anti-Kailyn bandwagon. Moving on to Hannah B's one-on-one. Honestly, half of this one-on-one was spent back in the house with the girls all like dealing with the drama. So Kailyn confronts Tayshia, and again, I really like Tayshia, and the way she's dealing with this whole situation pains me. I kind of feel like her argument is kind of BS. She says here that the girls acted defensively when Colton announced what Katie had said about girls being there for the wrong reasons. I kind of feel like that's not really a reason. Someone acting defensively I don't think, is suddenly going to make them wrong or in that situation. I can't keep my words are all getting all jumbled up. But you understand my point. I feel like, so what if they acted defensively? They could have been upset that they were betrayed, or it doesn't necessarily make them guilty. In general, it doesn't feel like Tayshia has any specificity here in this situation, and that is, I will circle back to this in a moment. Okay. Oh, and one more thing is that it just feels like she doesn't like Kailyn. And this could be untrue. Maybe they are actually friends, but that's how it's coming off, and it pains me because, again, I have liked Tayshia very much this season. Okay. The best thing about Hannah B's date is clearly Colton's dad. He's the best thing, honestly, about the season so far, I would say. He says to Colton straight up, he doesn't put up with any of this bull. He says, be careful about when he's talking about hearing that girls aren't ready. He said, I trust your gut more than I would ever trust the comments of anybody else. This is about you. And I wrote, yes, in my notes, because why is that so hard to understand? It is so, in the matter of 10 seconds, his father just distilled it down to what was necessary, and that is completely true. What does it matter what the girls are all saying about each other? Like, trust your gut in this situation, and take responsibility for that. If your gut ends up being wrong, then just own that. Okay. So, and then back to Hannah B. We haven't talked about Hannah B at all. I like Hannah B, and this was a real shame. I love that she stayed out of the drama this season, and she just didn't really deserve this kind of a departure. Obviously, she was raised up, taken on a pretty huge date, his home, to meet his family in his hometown. It's clearly a date that screams, I really like you, and I'm taking you really far, and then he breaks up with her. So, it was, I understand that this was like the point, but it still kind of sucked for her. I didn't feel like she deserved that. Okay, group date. Colton confronts Cassie right off the bat, because again, that's the only way he knows how to deal with these things. And call me naive, but I believe her here. Like, she was upset, and I do feel like she legitimately likes him. And here's my argument here. Is like, how ready can any 23-year-old be for marriage and kids and all that stuff? I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying it's more likely that they'll just like a person and want to date them for a while and maybe marry them. And further, it's about the person. The person is who makes you ready for this. When I met Andy, that's what made me ready. It wasn't the fact that I was at a certain point in my life and now I'm ready because of these life experiences. It's because of that person. And actually, Andy's here today. Andy, do you want to say hi? You don't have to come over. I was just saying you could.
Just a quick.
Oh, Andy wants to say hi.
Hi.
Yay, this is a rare Flair appearance for Andy.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. But what I'm saying is that it's the person that makes someone ready, and given Colton cannot give that to any of his women, I talk about this in my Flair recap, he still has 4 women left. How can he expect that from them? It's just very hypocritical. God, I'm getting all heated this week. Okay, and so finally, Kirpa keeps referring to things she's observed in Cassie. And I just think if you, again, like Tayshia, if you're going to throw someone under the bus, you have to be specific. You need a specific circumstance that has led you to believe that this person is not ready. Otherwise, it's just gossip. It really is. And in general, there's no specificity here whatsoever. There's no specificity in terms of Kirpa's claims or Cassie's defense. Ugh. Anyway, by the end of the episode, Colton obviously gives the rose to Cassie. This is not surprising at all. We all knew this was going to happen. And it even felt for show because, like, the whole thing was for show because he was like, come here, to Cassie. He gives her the rose, he's like, come here, and gives her a hug and a kiss, and it's all good. It kind of just felt like, yeah, we were just put through that horrible group date for no reason because he obviously really, really likes Cassie and was always going to give her the rose. Ugh, this is a really painful episode, you guys. Writing about it was brutal. I wrote 2 recaps. I wrote one, I spent hours on it, and then I just wiped it and started all over. It was just a really frustrating episode. Let me know in the comments, like, I see Maureen, yeah, Colton has the personality of a wet blanket. I mean, he's really, it just feels like he's young, like he's not ready for this. Like it doesn't have that inner compass of like right and wrong, of like intuition, of his gut instinct. It just feels like he's kind of all over the place. Yeah, if only his dad was with him the whole time. All right, thank you for tuning into the morning after. Thank you for just being there for me in this vent session. It felt really good. And be sure to read my Flair recap, which is out now, and my Pretty Pandas recap, which will come out later. And yes, I will see you here next week to recap Hometown Weeks here on the morning after.